2 of Invest Karnataka 2025. Bandirorellarigu Namaskara, Swagata, Suswagata. I am Monita Bala and it's an absolute delight and a pleasure to be your host for day 2. Now, this unique event, the Global Investors Meets, presents to you and me an opportunity to explore the idea of reimagining growth. With innovation at the forefront leading several spectrums of our life, it's fitting that we have industry leaders joining us to share with us their thoughts and their perspectives of our way forward. Yesterday, we heard from several of our dignitaries about UK and Karnataka economy growth and about how it's India's turn to lead the semiconductor revolution and talking about financial equality in establishing a strong footing. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from our global heads about several panel discussions, and in addition to that, we also have SME Connect Awards ceremony where we will be celebrating innovation and excellence held at the plenary hall at 6 p.m. this evening, followed by dinner hosted for you by Shri Sharana Basappa Darshanapur, Minister for Small Scale Industries and Public Enterprises. Lots to look forward to for day 2 out here at Invest Karnataka 2025. So let's dive straight into our first session. Ladies and gentlemen, our first session today focuses on Global Capability Center's growth engine driving the next wave of economic growth and innovations. For this, let's welcome on stage our industry leads here to share with you their thoughts and perspective on this topic. Allow me the opportunity to welcome on stage our panelists for this session. Let's welcome, with a round of applause, Mr. Akash Jain, India leader, CAT Digital Caterpillar. Thank you, Mr. Akash, for taking the time and joining us out here for Invest Karnataka 2025. Our second panelist for this session, we have Mr. Prashobh Chandralayam, IBM partner and executive director. Thank you, Mr. Prashobh, for joining us out here. Our next panelist, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Sumit Gupta, GCC leader, Cargill. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for joining us for this discussion. And moderating this panel discussion, let's welcome on stage our moderator, Mr. Kirti Kumar, partner, GCC Advisory, Deloitte. Gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity and thank you for taking the time and being a part of Invest Karnataka 2025. Looking forward to your thoughts and perspectives concerning Global Capability Centers, a growth engine, driving the next wave of economic growth and innovation. Mr. Kirti Kumar, I'll let you lead the way and take this panel discussion forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A very good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Government of Karnataka, we welcome you all for this panel. Interestingly, all of what we are talking about GCC has actually come of age. It was sometime in late 90s when we had Texas Instruments actually set up their operations in somewhere in Wind Tunnel Road. GCCs were not called GCCs at that point of time. And today it's very heartening to see this title saying growth engine for the next wave of economic growth. And more importantly, for the first time in the budget this year, the finance minister also specifically made a mention about the global capability centers and the national construct that the government is looking to put, especially around emerging locations. So, and here we are, since maybe 2005 when Thomas Friedman actually put that book out, The World is Flat, in case you have read it. And interestingly, most of the primary interviews, when he came into India, and guess where he landed first? Bangalore. Bangalore is where it all started. Bangalore gave that boost. And today, that's the larger India story that we are talking about. 50% market share is what the country holds, and about 35% is the market share that Karnataka specifically holds in the global capability centers, has held the pole position, I think, ever since this wave actually started, the indomitable force. So with that, maybe a trivia for all of you. The world's largest physical congregation of Fortune 500 companies anywhere in the world is in the state. Maybe let me repeat this one more time and allow that to sink in, right? The world's largest physical congregation of Fortune 500 companies. The state has over 85% of Fortune 500 companies. And from a global capability center standpoint, there is still more growth, and that is what we are going to be talking about. And I'm in the midst of a very distinguished panel here, right? People who have been there, seen that, and done that, and continue doing it. Maybe I will probably start with Akash, and a question to, in fact, all of the panelists. Maybe Akash, I could start with you in terms of, what your growth journey has been in the state, right? In terms of setting up and eventually scaling operations, and some of the drivers for the decisions that kind of got you into the state.
Absolutely thrilled to be here. Thanks, Kirti. So Caterpillar is in its centennial era globally. We are celebrating 100 years of being on the face of this earth, serving humanity, driving value for everyone. In India, we celebrated 50 years of being in India a couple of years back. Just to give you the context, how invested we have been in India to do what we are doing in India locally, as well as whatever we do from here in global centers here would support all the things that we globally do and for our customers and dealers. Now, having said that, the journey is specifically related to global capability centers, specifically related to CAD Digital here in India, and that's what I represent. Our journey started close to 6 years back, or rather 5 years back, I would say. We were a smallish team back then, and there was a very intentful and purposeful ask from our senior leadership to see how can we leverage the best of the best talent that is out here, in Karnataka specifically. And we responded to that call and put it into action. If I remember correctly, we were like maybe a handful of employees back then here, 5 years back. Now, it gives me immense pleasure to say, last December, we expanded and we have a larger, much larger office here now. We would have grown 10 times of what we used to be 5 years back. The ecosystem that we have in India outside CAD Digital, we have close to sizable 5,000 plus employees that we have here in Bangalore. So we are quite invested in Bangalore. Government's policies aligned with GCCs, the infrastructure that we have, the kind of talent that we get here is second to none. It's amazing. The kind of talent we get, the abundance of that talent, the experience that this particular talent has in very early part of their careers by working for different firms is second to none. I think decades back, I would do this globally for cost arbitrage reasons, but now it's that thing is muted totally. It's more to do with the talent, how we can leverage the bleeding edge of technology and the talent aligned to that here locally, and then drive value for all our firms and companies. So big thank you to Government of Karnataka as well to be able to put this thing together, and the policies and conducive policies that they have for people like us and the companies like us to thrive on. So that would be my response, Kirti.
Thank you, Akash. Very encouraging to hear that. Prashop, maybe we'll move on to you. IBM, delivery centers all across. Maybe your perspective in terms of, and I understand the fulcrum of all the operations is in the state. Maybe your perspective into that, please.
Sure. Let me start with GCC first, and then I will come to IBM. Let me start with the sentence. The GCC transformation, what we are witnessing in India today, is unprecedented in the history of the free world. Now, what fascinates the most is the scale and the speed in which the GCC growth story is shaping up. Now, all three pillars of change, whether it is a cost, whether it's a talent, or it's a business impact, all three are creating a rapid transformation all at the same time, and thereby there is a singularity of the transformation and the disruption. Now, from an IBM point of view, what fascinates us the most about the India story is the tech intensity. The talent, what we tap into this part of the world is unprecedented. And today, IBM has the largest development center in the world in India, and of that, the largest is in Bangalore. And we now started expanding, thanks to the great initiative by the government of Karnataka about the beyond Bangalore into tier 2 cities like Mysore and beyond. But on the same time, I want to maybe touch upon a little bit on the tech intensity part of it, right? And today, when you just talk to any of the youngsters, right, let's say a seventh grade kid, about what is their career aspiration, inevitably, 1 out of 2 people would talk about they want to crack JEE. And by far, that is the toughest entrance exam ever in the face of the world. Now, the preparation would start from the 7th grade onwards, and they would attend their normal academic, which is 9 to 4, and then 5 to 9, Monday to Friday, they prepare for JEE. And comes to the weekend, from 9 all the way till 7 or 8, they would prepare again for JEE. So just imagine this, 7th grade all the way till 12th. So Monday to Friday, 5 hours, weekend 9 to 10 hours, 5 years, and if you do the math, that is approximately 8,900 hours. This is over and above their academic credentials and preparation. Now, Malcolm Gladwell told us that when you spend 10,000 hours on a topic, you become a master. And that is also called as an Olympian preparation. And any Olympian athletics spend 10,000 hours on given sport, and they burst into the international arena at the age of 22 or 23. Indian kid would complete 9,000 hours over and above their academic before they blow their birthday candle on 18th. That is the tech intensity, and these students would move into Premier Institute, IIT, NIT, and other things. And that's what we tap into, and that is what basically creating that magic. Now, for IBM, 43 years in a row, we have been having a market leadership in the intellectual property filing. 43 years in a row. On an average, we filed 9,300 patents, and 30% of that do happen in India, that do happen in Bangalore. And if I were to just look at the latest buzzword is AI. And AI patent, we have been leading the race for the last 3 years in a row, and the number 2 and 3 put together is half of IBM. That do again take place in Bangalore, in India. So for us, like the IBM Research Lab, the Software Lab, IBM Consulting, everything what IBM do across the world, majority of that, if not the largest, is in India, and that is in Bangalore. That's where we are excited, and that's where we are looking forward for. And obviously, there is a proactive government support. We are extremely happy about that, and we continue to expand into other beyond Bangalore centers.
Thank you, Prashop. As you were talking, in fact, I was thinking 10 minutes into the conversation and nobody used the word AI. Thank you for bringing that up. I think we will do a double click very soon. Sumit, over to you. Cargill, at least as a brand in the GCC world, has been a force to reckon with. You've gone broader, you've gone deeper over years. Waiting to hear your perspectives.
Thank you. So everyone, my name is Sumit Gupta. I am honored to represent Cargill here. Cargill is the world's largest food and agriculture company. We are 159 years old. Cargill's purpose is to nourish the world in a safe, responsible, and sustainable manner. One statistic that always blows my mind away is that 20% of the entire world's food moves through Cargill's supply chain, right? So we are in the business of sort of keeping people fed around the world. And I'm very proud to say that our Global Capabilities Center in Bangalore plays a big role in feeding people around the world, right? Now, Ajay talked about, Akash talked about this being the 6th year of their GCC in Bangalore, and Cargill is celebrating 11 years of their GCC in Bangalore now. We started in 2014. I think we made a relatively tentative start, figuring out whether it works out or doesn't work out, a little bit work in technology, a little bit work in finance. And that's how GCCs used to start in those days. But I think very quickly Cargill figured out the depth of the talent that is available in Bangalore. It is absolutely amazing. There is absolutely no skill, tech or non-tech, that you cannot find in Bangalore. The amount of energy and the passion that people bring in, people graduating from colleges in Bangalore or relocating to Bangalore from other cities, is simply incredible. The talent here is absolutely the best. That gave Kargil the confidence to start scaling up rapidly. And now, 11 years later, we have a multifunctional global capability center, which means we are part of each and every business and each and every function in Kargil. Interestingly, sometime last year, our GCC in Bangalore also became the largest Kargil office globally. So our office in Bangalore today is bigger than our headquarters in Minneapolis, and we continue to grow through this journey. But it's not just about adding people. It's not just about working for multiple functions. It's really about building deep capabilities that will serve the enterprise for a long time to come. So now we have built deep capabilities, for example, in generative AI. Kargil's AI efforts are 100% led out of Bangalore. We don't follow, we lead the efforts out of Bangalore. And similarly, deep capabilities have been established in many other areas of Kargil. So overall, I think the Kargil GCC is well positioned, deeply relying on the talent that is available in Bangalore and poised to grow both in terms of width and depth in future as well.
Thank you so much, Sumit. Allow me to take you about 150 kilometers from where we are right now. Let's talk a little bit about some of the emerging hub locations. In fact, last year we put a report out covering 26 emerging locations comprehensively along with NASSCOM. And some interesting facts came the way when we were doing the research. 60% of the STEM graduates come from these emerging locations every year. 70% of the talent migrates from these emerging locations into these top 6 locations where the GCCs are. Right? And our report specifically spoke about Mysore, Hubli, and Mangalore, and in fact had, interestingly, some of these locations which are running very high on digital skills as well, right? And maybe on that note, Prashobh, I think no one better than you here. Last 2 years, I think ramping up operations in Mysore. Give us all a perspective of, how do you approach an emerging hub location? What's the kind of playbook that you would put in place? And more importantly, the nature and the body of work that you kind of do, right? What is your service placement strategy among locations, and where does emerging hub location come in, and how your experience, more importantly, in Mysore has been?
Thank you. So the Emerging Technology Center, we call this as a ETC. The Emerging Technology Center, or ETC, what we call it as, that is part of our expansion of services beyond Bangalore. And that is pretty much in line with the government of Karnataka's policy about going beyond Karnataka, beyond Bangalore, as well as also part of the digital mission. And we set out a bold vision in 2022 to have the ETC, or the Emerging Technology Centers, to contribute 30% of our workforce in flat 3 years. And we started that journey with Mysuru in March 2022. And fast forward today, that is the largest and the biggest ETC center what we have in the country today. Because when we started the Mysore, we also opened another 3 more. And Mysore continued to be the largest as well as biggest. But let me also just break up this journey, or the playbook, right? And I will break up this into 3 parts. What is the objective, what is the approach, and what has been the ecosystem setup as such. Objective is very clear. We want to create a sustainable and a consistent growth engine out of the ETC, or the emerging centers. Second is that these centers should support both the digital as well as the business transformation journey of our customer. And the third is very important. It is about providing the local employment and doing larger good for the society. Now, when I come to the approach, so we set out as part of the playbook, we looked at the heat map, or the skill map of the India, especially at tier 2 cities. We mapped that with our large accounts. And we identified certain anchor accounts which need to start these centers as the starting point. And then soon we want to expand that into other client areas. And all those objectives has met quite well. And when we decided to start our operations in Mysuru, we started advertising on the social platform about our arrival in the beautiful city of Mysuru. And then we started doing this career carnival on a regular basis. And from an ecosystem point of view, we tied up with local universities as well as engineering colleges as a DOU or an MOU as part of creating the skill set which is ready for the industry. And equally important, we set a very ambitious target of creating the diversity as an inclusion as part of our cornerstone. But now, when we look back today, the Mysuru provide the least of the attrition among all centers what IBM has across the country, on the same time, which is among the top on the tech intensity as such. And this year, we are planning to double our headcount in ETC, that include Mysuru also. So that continue to serve us and surprise us, and it is now the cornerstone of the expansion of IBM.
Thank you, Prashok. Very, very interesting insights, and maybe Akash and Sumit to think about maybe looking at emerging locations and going beyond Bengaluru.
Sure. We are always on the lookout for the talent. I believe a lot of talent that comes into Bengaluru comes from tier 2, tier 3 cities in Karnataka as well. The ecosystem has grown tremendously. The university's infrastructure, the push by the government of Karnataka in upskilling and etc. and such has been tremendous. We absolutely are always looking out for centers where we can expand. Nevertheless, we work with a lot of partners who have really solid professionals coming and working for us in Caterpillar. They come from tier 2, tier 3 cities. So that would be my response. Specifically, we have not shortlisted any company, but absolutely through IBM's journey, we can take a few notes out and see where we can expand in Karnataka. All in all, I think the kind of talent that we have across Bengaluru and Karnataka, within Karnataka, it's tremendous. If I go back 10 years, the whole paradigm of services and doing services for MNCs from here locally, that has shifted now to building these capabilities and the kind of accountability and ownership-driven work that ends up done from here in Bengaluru and Karnataka, etc., is tremendous. I can tell you, we are in the business of manufacturing a very, very heavy machinery that move earth or dig earth, basically, in construction equipments, in resource industries, etc. And the advent of digital and the products that we put together to empower our customers and dealers to drive their productivity, be it Gen AI products, be it bleeding edge of the technology products that we have to manage our assets, autonomy and automation products that we have, driverless trucks that we have, etc. Most part of those products today are being developed here in India. More than 40% of the development happens here in India. So it's all about the value game now versus cost arbitrage at the end of the day.
Thank you, Akash. I think the last 15, 20 seconds were a lot more fascinating. And maybe that's a good segue into our next topic. We're to shift gears. Engineering, research, and development, right, was the second largest segment that contributed to the overall IT services industry growth. 55% contribution to the growth last year, right? And interestingly, about 25% of this engineering is digital engineering, not so surprising. And we expect this number to go all the way up to 50%, right? And the industry as such, the dream the country has is to get to the 100 billion number in the next 4 to 5 years. So about 50 billion is expected to be all digital engineering, which Akash was just alluding to. And again, another interesting data point, 50% of the AI ML trained population sits in the state. The largest startup ecosystem with more than 14,000 startups, which kind of attributes in a big way to this digital engineering aspect, right? So maybe Akash, a little bit of a deep dive on that, right? In terms of, you spoke about a lot of the product and the digital engineering work that you do. Where do you see this going? What are the kind of capabilities that you think organizations will need in this domain going forward? And how do you find the ecosystem today, and how do you see that evolving?
Absolutely, Kirti. It's a very important topic, at least close to my heart, and the work that I do. I think, having talent is one thing. Putting it through the cultural transformation is the most important part of it. How do we come out of the mindset of I'm running a project versus I am going to now contribute towards, with a lot of accountability and ownership, contribute towards digital products from here, which would be used globally to drive productivity for the enterprise, customers, dealers, and such. That cultural transformation is the key. That transforms, once you have that done, that kind of empowers the capability building. The mindset change empowers the capability building. And then we all know talent is great here. We bring in that talent, we train them. The value system that we have as Indians is tremendous. Largely, it aligns very, very well with the cultures that we have across the companies that we work for. And then we move forward with that mindset to create capabilities. Now, coming to kind of technologies and areas that we are looking for, it's bleeding edge. I can tell you, the Gen AI, we are meddling with Gen AI right now in the company, and I tell you, the first few products that got productionized, both these products, we had a large part to play. Now, this technology itself is not very old. It's very, very fresh and new. You won't find such people with long experience, with solid experience out in the market as well. So what it means is you deliver, and through your delivery, you learn at the same time and then grow. And that's what has been happening. We are absolutely doubling down on bringing such talent, bring it in, drive into the mainstream product development. And that's how we have to build our centers here. So it's all about capability development at the end of the day. So mindset change, cultural transformation, driving along with the right talent being brought into the company, which then gets aligned to capability building would be my answer.
Thank you, Akash. And Prashop, maybe your perspectives on the digital ecosystem that's available in the state and how you kind of tap into it from an IBM perspective.
Absolutely. And before that, maybe I want to just touch upon like what is really dominating the conversation these days. And let's say when the Invest Karnataka as a thought process was maybe started 4 or 5 months back. And at that point in time, there is no word called as a deep seek. And fast forward today, you cannot start or end any conversation without having deep seek as mentioned. That is the pace in which this industry is moving, and that's where the real change that is going to happen. Now, before that, let's also understand how this is going to impact going forward. Now, all this while, what we have seen is a digital transformation, but core of the digital transformation was always digitization. So that means we have seen, say, sales activities and supply chain, we drop Salesforce. We have seen marketing, we drop Adobe. We have seen business process, we drop ERPs. That improved the efficiency and productivity to some extent, but that not necessarily changed the transformation to the extent what it is required. But when you infuse AI at scale, instead of having a digital transformation, you will now start witnessing business transformation. This is where the tectonic shift would take place. And now I'll tell about certain home truth. Now, our CEO called out a 3 billion cost takeout as part of the IBM transformation 5 years back. That was a commitment that was made to the Wall Street. And we started looking at which are the areas where we could improve the efficiency, but on the same time, provide the service in a superior way. And we looked at HR practice. Now, every organization was having HR, and then we were either using Workday or SuccessFactors. It is just improve the efficiency, but not necessarily reduce the cost or whatever things. And one of the mission we created for ourselves was that we said we would like to provide a single, seamless digital experience to our workforce, irrespective of where they are. And ours is a very diversified, distributed work culture, because we are in the customer's place, we are at oil rig, we are at factories, and some of us are in the office also. But we don't want to have a tribal advantage of having an HR practitioner right next to you, but we want to provide that as a digital experience seamless. And we introduce RPA, we introduce Gen AI at scale. And today we have a platform called as Ask HR, and perhaps that is one of the biggest transformations what we have seen ourselves. And last year, huge amount of money was returned back to the corporate as unspent. So that is the amount of efficiency, cost reduction, and superior experience that has been provided. So having Gen AI or having the greater degree of digital engineering coming in would change, and with advent of DeepSeek, because what DeepSeek is primarily saying us is that in 2023 we were talking about ChatGPT, but now we are in 2025, that phase is over. And ChatGPT would have been glamorized, popularized the use of Gen AI, but only 1% of the enterprise data now lies in the public platform. And for every corporate, they want to have their foundation model, that would be their large language model or short language model, where they want to have that proprietary thing. What is really stopping the CIOs to have the large amount of Gen AI adoption was basically they had to break the bank. It was prohibitively expensive. DeepSeek broke that myth. They said, I can create a foundation model at a fraction of cost. The tokenization doesn't need to burn your pocket. So next phase of changes, what we are all going to witness, is going to be business transformation underpinned by the LLM and DeepSeek equivalent, and you could now create a large amount of transformation without breaking the bank. And that's going to be huge.
Thank you, Prashop. And maybe a matter of time before we're going to have our own DeepSeek pretty soon. A rapid fire question to all of you before I go in with my last one. And Sumit, maybe I'll start with you. One innovation, one initiative, anything that you have done in the center that you're very proud of that you would like to let all of us know?
Sure. So I think we are really proud of some of the use cases we have deployed using Gen AI. I think Kaggle is a 159-year-old company, but Gen AI, I think we caught the trend sort of fairly early. And so we have some very unique use cases out there which are helping our teams pitch our ingredients to restaurant chains. So I mean, if you're 100, 200 restaurants, we want to sell you our food ingredients, it would take us months and months of work to figure out what menu items we can suggest to you that can be built with our ingredients. But with using Gen AI, we can do that research now in a matter of minutes. And it's not perfect, but it gives you a great starting point. And then you can start pitching your products to your customers. So a huge improvement in sales cycle is what we are seeing with the use of Gen AI. So that is one use case that we're very proud of. The second one is around safety. So, we run 1,200 plant locations around the world. Human safety is always a big concern to us. So now we have Gen AI tools that we built in Bangalore that allow us to look at all of our safety issues in the past, monitor the conditions in the plant, and then proactively tell us how we are doing against our safety incidents and what preventive actions we should be taking. So there is the customer focus, and then there is the inward-looking human safety focus. I think these are the two that I'm probably most proud of.
Thank you, Sumit. And I'm sure Akash will have a lot under his armor.
Sure, Kirti. Couple of things I would say. Gen AI, everybody wants to talk about Gen AI. We are doing similarly, and Sumit mentioned what he's doing, and we are looking at how we can drive more digital into physical. Like I said, we do make very, very big machines. Our machines are so huge that, the tire size of, just as an example, the tire size of a mining truck is like 12 feet in diameter. So we are trying to push in more and more digital into physical. And then, therefore, the maintenance and management of the maintenance, the proactive, preventive maintenance becomes very, very important. So we came up with a Gen AI-based bot, which basically helps the condition to be monitored of these machines at the end of the day. So that's one innovation, and that was, like I said, a large part of that development happened here in India, and I'm very proud of that. The other, I would say, the engine for innovation that we have in Caterpillar is across the company itself, right from early talent, and even before that, interacting with universities and the kind of ecosystem government of Karnataka provides to reach out to these universities and then empower, enable, and fund sort of hackathons that we do with them, plus within the company, the employees that we have, give them the opportunity to innovate as well is tremendous. Some of the ideas that come out today that we implement are directly coming out from these groups. So we do not do, so to speak, senior leaders sitting and deep thinking and then putting together, letter of intent, and then we take it forward from there. Most of these ideas rightfully are coming from the youngest population that we have. And that's our strength at the end of the day. So a couple ideas we are munching still on what came from the university setup as well as internally from youngish employees that we have in Caterpillar. But at the end of the day, driving more digital into physical is the mantra that we have to make sure we drive productivity for our customers, dealers. At the end of the day, it should be easy to own, easy to manage the machines that we make.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very fascinating. Prashab, any quick one from you?
Sure. See, we expect two dominant forces, right, kind of overshadow everything else going forward. One is going to be about popularization of the LLM, right? And the second is going to be the emergence of agentic AI. And we being a tech company, we created a lot of Gen AI use cases, especially about the code conversion, code generation, code transportation, so on and so forth. But there is also a muted fear that what would be the employment roadmap going forward with advent of Gen AI. I think it is going to change. It is going to transform big time. But I think there are a few things. One is that every task will be automated in some point in time. But I think what is going to really differentiate us is going to be the skill. So we need to upskill, we need to reskill, but the task sooner or later will get automated. And I think that is inevitable with the advent of the Gen AI. But what would really differentiate is how do we upskill and reskill going forward to embrace the new normal.
Thank you. Okay, then that brings me to the last question. Your one piece of advice for organizations who are looking to set up or scale operations. And Prashop, just a tweak to you, if you could give a emerging hub twist to your response. But Sumit, please.
Yeah, so I mean, if someone is setting up a GCC, my advice to them would be dream big. I think 20 years ago when we started, we dreamt small and that was okay. But the idea now is dream big, deliver value from day one. That gets you a lot of support from the headquarters, gives you the tailwinds, and then you can scale up from there. But dream big is what I would say.
Thank you.
See, our advice is that often it says that best time to start GCC was 26 years back. And the second best time is today. And the reason being that with advent of Gen AI, you could now skip a lot of traditional organic growth. And one of the largest consumer GCC who set up their automation factory after 12 years of their existence in GCC, because they had to go through that normal traditional organic growth. And one of the luxury automotive company, after 20 years of existence as a GCC in India, started doing the product development last year. But fast forward, last quarter of 2024, one of the largest oil major, when they set up their GCC, their design point was automation and product innovation. And they were able to do that because they were able to bring in the Gen AI at scale. So starting the GCC today, you would be able to skip a lot of other organic and traditional growth, and you could cut that things and fast forward and accelerate your journey. So I think today would be perhaps the best time.
Thank you. Akash, over to you.
Yeah, no, great points by the co-panelists. I always say this in the same spirit as Sumit mentioned, dream big, but what does it mean, right? I always give this analogy. Some of you would have heard in sessions that you attended when I was the speaker there. 10, 15 years back, we used to be in the back seat of the car. Somebody will open the door of the car, you will sit and you will drive with the car. Fast forward, we started to take the seat next to the driver. Then we became the driver. Then somebody used to give us the keys to drive. Now we want to, own the car as well as the keys. That's what dream big means. do what you do with ownership and accountability, and always have the mindset of what value you are driving for the enterprise, your customers, and dealers, in whichever industry you are. Look at capability development. Don't do services. Look at capability development. If only you are doing, you are putting together, establishing a new GCC. Have hard conversations to start with the company. There needs to be strategic intent buy-in with the company that you work for to be able to put that together. And then absolutely bring the right talent in, groom them. Cultural transformation of that talent is very important. They are skilled, no doubt. But putting their skills in the right direction is your job when you put the GCC together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akash. And all panel members, thank you so much for your perspective, starting with your overall journey over years and giving a little bit of view into emerging locations and how that could pan out for organizations, and the deep dive on the digital engineering topic that we spoke. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure and privilege to have you in the panel and be moderating it. If there is any questions from the audience for the panel members, do we have a mic?
Requesting you to kindly keep your hand raised. Either me or my associates will join you with the mic. So introduce yourself and kindly proceed with your question.
Hi, this is Sunil Padmanabh. I'm an industry influencer and a digital strategist. I want to understand from Akash or Sumit on how do you measure the capability maturity index? How will you measure the success of your innovation journey for your GCC, not only in terms of dollar value, but in terms of other innovation attributes? So generally, how do you set your KPIs?
All right, thanks for the question. See, when we put together the capability, one of the things that we have to absolutely look at is what we do as in terms of putting lines of code. We have to have an understanding of why we are putting that together at the first place. What is this product doing today for the enterprise? What are the different personas who are going to use this product and the productivity or value that particular product is going to drive for them? So what value it holds for the enterprise, what value it holds for our customers, dealers, etc., and the priorities that we have, must-wins that we have. The overall understanding of the business domain is very, very important to be able to then apply it back to the capability that you're building. We do not want to be, for example, we do quality assurance or testing for our products as one of the capabilities that we have. We do testing, and we shouldn't be following the test, just only the test schedule and then finish everything passed and we are fine. The person who's testing needs to understand what personas are going to use this at the end of the day. Are there things that make sense contextually for them to be able to test? Those are some of the parameters. So business domain knowledge is exceptionally important that we absolutely look for when we are looking at how mature we have become. Technical prowess as well as technical know-how is absolutely the second piece of it. The third piece of it is overall value delivered. And it could be from an engineering perspective, if I were to explore, the value delivered would be, let's say 100% is the total number of lines of code that you did in the entire year. What percent was done from here in India? That becomes the tangible portion of it. So I think it all starts with the domain knowledge and it comes down to the lowest level.
No, thank you. I'll just add that, to me personally, the maturity of a capability is represented by the value it delivers and the impact it has on your customers. Easy to say, not always easy to measure the impact of your capability on a customer. So you start from customer back and figure out at every step of the journey, are you saving time for your customers, saving money for your customers, or making money for your customers? And I love the point that Akash made. Yes, you can have a set of metrics to demonstrate maturity, but it's also about the culture. Everyone in your team must live and breathe for making a difference to the customers. Now, if you're sitting in a GCC in Bangalore, the customer is somewhere in North America, again, it's not easy to draw that connection. And that's where leaders need to step in and make sure your team members can draw that connection in their mind and then can start, building the capabilities that the customers need from them.
Do we have any more questions? Please.
Okay. My name is Bala. I'm taking care of leading one of the GCC in Bangalore. And often we do have a challenge. So sometimes when we do the new product development or technology development, it requires a lot of face-to-face meetings, or the people needs to visit the R&D labs, and no idea is coming alone. So sometimes it needs to really collaborate with our team and multiple stakeholders and experience. It requires a lot of travel and co-locations and face-to-face meetings and spending some more time in the lab. So how do you now overcome that in terms of getting the visa restrictions, going there? Do you feel anything like a challenge, or how do you manage that?
I mean, I can probably give you a relatively generic answer. I think two things have happened. I think A, we have learned how to operate more globally. When we have teams in all the four, major regions of the world, teams around the world collaborate, and then getting folks from all four regions to travel physically to a location and meet can frankly just prove to be very expensive. So we are just very careful about spending travel dollars, and therefore, use online collaboration tools, the best collaboration tools possible, and with some amount of, travel thrown in. I wouldn't say visas have been a big challenge. I think we have worked through whatever regime there is, but really it is all about doing as much digitally and virtually as you can for us.
Yeah, I would just add to that, if I understood the question correctly, based on the time zone and where we are versus, you see, you need to understand one thing. We are not saying that we have to do everything in India. It's not going to work. You are working in a global company. We have to find that balance. We have to collaborate. We have to be driving inclusiveness as well at the end of the day. But how to shield some of the teams who are delivering what you have to deliver with accountability, right? Like, for example, this whole concept of doing product development with agile ways of working. You have to shield the teams who are doing it. You cannot have extended teams. You cannot have, let's say it is a 10-member team, 5 members are here and the 5 members are sitting in the US. It will not work. That paradigm will go away. It's non-collaborative and non-fruitful approach. So you put together those teams which are empowered, enabled to do whatever you want them to do at the end of the day, 9 to 5, come to office, finish, go back. Now, all the collaborative work that is done will be the named roles like product development, like product managers and project managers and tech leads. They would collaborate across the world at the end of the day. And with that collaboration with different centers we have around the globe, things continue to work like clockwork at the end of the day. So if I understood the question correctly,
Okay. Previously we were doing like a basic work, like doing the 2D to 3D or basic support, okay. Now we are really doing like advanced engineering, product development, okay, and proof of concept, technology development. So in that what happened is the product specialists or SMEs or SMRs are there in the different locations, okay. But the ideas, 10% of contributions, 10 to 20% is coming from them, and other 60 to 70% of the work, it needs to be developed remotely from here. So that's what actually the new product, how we can really launch, filing the patent. So this kind of really high level of product ownership which we try to establish. So when we really try to do that, okay, these are all some of the challenges which we are coming across that.
Yeah, I would just say generically we are in a global business. So we do have, for example, we have dealers here. We have customers here in India as well. For example, some of the iconic buildings that we have here are powered by gensets of Caterpillar. Parliament of India, the new Parliament of India is one, Atal Tunnel is one, right? We have to make sure that, like I said earlier in my conversation, business domain knowledge is absolutely important. As you grow that, then you can collaborate and add value at that level as well, of road mapping a product at the end of the day. Like I said, engineering is separate. To be able to understand the product, to be able to, the personas that are going to be using that particular product, and then put together the roadmap, it could be a collaborative effort.
Thank you, Akash, and thank you for that question. This can be a panel topic in itself. And I promised to hold Akash for 5 minutes before he goes, if you want to do a deep dive. In the interest of time, so that brings us to the close of the panel discussion.
Just one question.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. My name is Prashant. I am part of the IT promotion cell of the state government of Goa. So my question is, what would you advise to attract GCCs in places like tier 2 cities or places like Goa?
Happy to take that, but are you okay we do that after the discussion? Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining, but we saved the best for the last, so can I request our Secretary, Madam, Dr. Kaur, to give her closing remarks, please.
Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome on stage Dr. Ikrip Kaur, IAS Secretary, Department of EI, IT, BT, and S&T to address the gathering and share with us her remarks.
Thanks. A very good morning to everyone here. It was such a pleasure to listen to this conversation. Time has just flown 1 hour, I didn't even realize. But I'm grateful to all the panelists, not just for sparing their time and being here today, but also for the tremendous amount of confidence that they have shown in the ecosystem. And they have shared their growth stories. And I think all the 3 panelists were very, very vocal and clear that they have found value in having their GCCs in Karnataka, in Bangalore. In fact, all the 3 organizations have their largest office presence in Bangalore across the globe. So it gives us a lot of pleasure and confidence to keep working and striving for the growth of GCCs in Karnataka. Of course, Karnataka is the front runner. We have more than 40% of the GCCs of India housed primarily in Bangalore. And looking at the growth and the potential and the kind of work which is happening in these GCCs, the state also decided to further give it a fillip. We know that in the coming years, looking at the geopolitics, a lot of work is going to come to India. A lot of companies are now looking at India. And therefore, we recently came up with our GCC policy, which further incentivizes and supports the growth of these GCCs. 2 things which really came out from the discussion today. One was talent. I think that is the key to this growth. It is the talent which is driving the growth, and talent is the biggest USP, so to say, which Karnataka offers. Not just local talent, but also people from all over the country today are congregating in Bangalore, and that is something we would like to build on further. So under the policy also, there are a number of initiatives which have been announced to build on the talent. I have a lot of young people sitting over here. There is good news for you. Government is also going to support through its program called Nipuna, skilling of fresh recruits as well as people who are already working with GCCs to see that they are more employable, they are ready with the emerging skills. And from your perspective, this Nipuna program is going to be industry-led, and we are looking at industry certifications. So it's a very open-ended kind of a program because most of the GCCs today are working in a very tech-intensive domain, and their technology changes. He was just mentioning how AI, we were talking in a different terms, and last about a couple of weeks, it's only about DeepSeek. So technology changes very quickly, and to keep abreast with the technology, it's important that we keep on investing in skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. So industry understands this the best, more than the educational curriculum, which takes some time to catch up. So therefore, we have come up with this very industry-led skilling program. We are also looking at, developing other centers in addition to Bangalore, which would host the GCCs. So I must compliment and thank IBM for showing their faith in Mysore. And there are 3 clusters which the state is currently working on. One is Mysore, the second one is Mangalore, and then Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum. So these 3 clusters, we are trying to attract GCCs also. There is, beginnings have been made. There are a couple of GCCs which have opened their offices in these 3 cities. But going forward under the policy, we are heavily incentivizing, shift to these tier 2 cities as well. Post-COVID, many companies actually are looking at one, having an additional office which is in a slightly remote location. So these locations could be ideal. And I think that's what the intent is in incentivizing these places. In addition to all of this, under the policy, we are also looking at, giving a push to the ER&D work which is happening in Karnataka. And there are some fiscal incentives given for setting up labs and innovation hubs. So all of this has been done with an eye to see that we keep ahead of competition. Right now we have 40% share. We want to scale up to 50% of share of all GCCs and create 3.5 lakh employment in the coming 5 years and generate a value of $50 billion. So that's our goal, and I think we have very, very strong partners in this growth journey. I'm sure Karnataka will continue to do well. And my assurance to all of you, I would like to reiterate that once again, that government is very keen. GCCs is one of our priority areas, and we will certainly ensure that whoever comes to Karnataka or expands in Karnataka or is wanting to just explore Karnataka, government is always with you, and we will support you in every which way. Thank you, Kirti, for doing this panel discussion. It went off very well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Requesting our dignitaries to kindly stay back on stage for one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let's give it up for our exceptional panelists joining us out here at Invest Karnataka 2025. Dr. Ekrup, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your thoughts and opinions. On the occasion of having you with us, if I could kindly request you to hand over a token of appreciation to our panelists for joining us out here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let's give a round of applause for our fantastic panel discussion that took place today, starting off day 2 on a high note for Invest Karnataka 2025. I want to once again take this opportunity and thank all our dignitaries present on stage for taking the time to join us out here at Invest Karnataka 2025 and share with us your thoughts and opinions. It was an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you be a part of our first panel discussion for day 2. Requesting you all to kindly remain seated. In a few moments, we go in with our next session for today. Our next session, ladies and gentlemen, focuses on India at the core, shaping the future of global A&D sourcing. Kindly remain seated. We will start with our next session in the next 5 minutes. Thank you.